The rain hammered against the towering windows of the Harrington estate like fists demanding entry, mirroring the storm raging inside Ryan's chest as he watched Elias fold linens in the dim laundry room. In that split second, when Elias's fingers brushed a stray thread from his sleeve exposing the curve of his wrist, veined like a map to forbidden territories, Ryan knew his world had cracked open, and there was no sealing it shut. He was 22, heir to a fortune built on steel and silence. But in Elias's quiet presence, every polished lie of his life felt like ash on his tongue. Ryan had always navigated the Harrington legacy like a ghost in his own home, the sprawling Greenwich mansion with its marble floors that echoed like judgments. The family dinners where his father's voice boomed about boardroom conquests, and his mother's brittle smiles hid the fractures of a marriage long rotted. Elias had arrived 6 months earlier, a soft-spoken immigrant from a dusty village in Mexico, hired through some agency his mother trusted because he works without complaint. 25. With eyes that held the warmth of sun-baked earth and hands calloused from more than just chores, Elias moved through the house like a shadow that somehow made the light bend toward him. Ryan first noticed him not in the grand halls, but in the garden at dawn, clipping roses with a precision that spoke of hidden artistry. His uniform sleeves rolled up to reveal forearms etched with faint scar stories Ryan ached to unravel. That rainy afternoon in the laundry room was no accident. Ryan had wandered down from his suite, feigning insomnia, his bare feet silent on the cool tiles. The air smelled of starch and lavender, Elias's subtle scent that clung to everything he touched. "Sir," Elias said, straightening with that deferential nod, his voice a low timbre that vibrated through Ryan like a plucked string. But Ryan saw the flicker the way Elias's gaze lingered a beat too long on his disheveled hair, the unbuttoned shirt revealing the rapid pulse at his throat. It was mutual, this electric undercurrent, born in stolen glances across the breakfast table, in the way Elias would pause mid-task when Ryan entered a room, as if the air thickened with unspoken confessions. "You're working too late," Ryan murmured, stepping closer, the rain's rhythm urging him forward. Elias's laugh was soft, disarming a sound like wine through olive branches. "The storm doesn't clock out, Mr. Harrington." "Neither do I." There it was again. That spark, Mr. Harrington, a title that separated them like a chasm. Yet Elias said it with a warmth that bridged it. Ryan's heart hammered. A traitor's beat. He reached out, impulsive, his fingers grazing Elias's knuckles as he took the folded sheet from him. Skin on skin, rough from labor against smooth from leisure, and the world tilted. Elias didn't pull away. Instead, his breath hitched, eyes darkening with the same hunger Ryan had buried under layers of expectation. From that touch, the unraveling began. Nights blurred into fevered dreams where Ryan imagined Elias's hands mapping his body, not the house. Mornings brought sharp clarity, the family crest on his cufflinks, a reminder of the cage gilded in gold expectations of Ivy League polish. A future merger marriage to some debutante named Victoria, whose laughter grated like glass. Ryan's father, Victor Harrington, ruled from his Wall Street throne, a man whose love was measured in stock tickers and legacy. "You're the son I built this for," he'd growl over scotch, oblivious to the sun crumbling beneath the weight. His mother, Lydia, fluttered like a moth to Victor's flame, her world of galas and gossip a fragile veneer over her own unspoken sorrows. Elias became Ryan's secret compass. They'd collide in hidden corners, the attic with its forgotten trunks, where dust motes danced like fireflies as Elias shared fragments of his life, leaving behind a family fractured by borders. Dreaming of art school in the city, sketching in stolen moments on napkins. "Why stay here?" Ryan asked once, their shoulders brushing in the cramped space. Elias's smile was bittersweet. "Bills don't pay themselves." Ryan. And it's not all bad. The way he said Ryan's name, stripped of sir, was a rebellion in itself. Their first real kiss happened under a harvest moon in the estate's orchard. Apples heavy on the branches like pendants of temptation. Ryan had lured Elias out with a pretext a broken sprinkler in the far grove. The night air was crisp, laced with cider and earth. And when Elias knelt to inspect the pipe, Ryan dropped to his knees beside him, the ground damp beneath them. "I can't pretend anymore," Ryan whispered, his voice breaking like thunder. Elias turned, face illuminated by moonlight. And in his eyes Ryan saw his own reflection, terrified, alive. Their lips met tentatively at first. A question, then fear-sealed declaration. Elias's hands cradled Ryan's face, thumbs tracing jawlines as if committing them to canvas. And Ryan tasted salt tears. Sweat. The rain from earlier. It didn't matter. In that orchard, they burned away the distance. Bodies pressing close, breaths mingling in gasps that echoed the forbidden rhythm of their hearts. But passion in shadows breeds peril. Whispers started, the cook's sidelong glance, the gardener's knowing smirk. Lydia noticed Ryan's distraction, her manicured nails tapping concerns over tea. "Darling, you've been so distant," Victoria called. "She's expecting you at the gala." Ryan nodded through gritted teeth, the name a noose tightening. Victor was worse. His interrogations laced with steel. "Shape up. Boy, this isn't a vacation." Elias bore the brunt silently, his shifts lengthening. Apologies murmured for imagined slights. Yet in their stolen hours, love bloomed defiant lazy afternoons in Ryan's suite where Elias read poetry aloud, his accent wrapping words like silk around Ryan's soul. Or midnight drives to the Long Island Sound, where they'd park and talk until stars faded, hands intertwined over the gear shift. The fracture came at the annual Harrington Harvest Ball, a glittering farce in the ballroom where chandeliers dripped light like honeyed lies. Victoria arrived on Ryan's arm, her gown a cascade of silk, but his eyes sought Elias across the room, polishing silver with mechanical grace. When Victor pulled Ryan aside for the toast to legacies unbroken, the words landed like blows. Ryan excused himself, fleeing to the veranda, where Elias found him moments later. Rain starting anew. "You don't belong in there," Elias said, voice fierce, pulling Ryan into the shadows of the rose arbor. Their embrace was desperate, rain soaking through fabric. But as Ryan's hands roamed lower, Elias stiffened. "Not here. Not like this." The hesitation ignited Ryan's fear, the first crack in their sanctuary. What if they find out? Ryan pressed, forehead against Elias's. Elias's silence was a wound. "I've lost too much to lose you," he finally admitted, voice raw. "But this house, it's a prison for both of us." That night, as fireworks burst over the estate, Ryan lay awake, the golden cage closing tighter. He began plotting escape, secret funds siphoned from his allowance, forged documents for Elias's green card dreams. But love, unchecked, court's chaos. Weeks blurred into a haze of duality. Public Ryan, the dutiful son, charming investors at brunches. Private Ryan, stealing kisses in the wine cellar, where oak barrels muffled their moans. Elias opened up more, his sketches surfacing, portraits of Ryan, not as heir, but as Manny's fierce, lips curved in joy. "You're my muse," Elias confessed one evening, charcoal smudging his fingers as they lay tangled on Ryan's bed. Ryan traced the lines, heart swelling with a tenderness that terrified him. This was no fleeting infatuation. It was a force rewriting his stars. Yet the world conspired. Victoria's persistence turned probing. She cornered Ryan at a charity luncheon, her perfume cloying. "You're different lately. seeing someone. Her laugh was a blade. Ryan deflected. But guilt not Elias deserved more than shadows. Victor's tempers escalated. Bourbon-fueled rants about weak airs hitting too close. Lydia, ever the observer, left a book on Ryan's nightstand, The Velvet Rage. Its pages dog-eared at chapters on hidden lives. Was it a plea? A warning? The storm broke on a crisp autumn eve. Leaves carpeting the drive like crimson warnings. Ryan returned from a Yale alumni mixer. Buzzed on rebellion. To find Elias in the foyer. Uniform askew. A letter clutched in his fist. They know. Elias whispered. Voice hollow. Victor's private investigator hired for family security had photos, grainy shots from the orchard. The sound. Lydia hovered in the doorway. Face ashen. While Victor loomed like judgment incarnate. You think you can parade this filth under my roof? Victor bellowed, shoving the dossier at Ryan. Elias stood frozen, eyes downcast. But Ryan surged forward, shielding him. He's not filth. He's everything you're not honest. Alive. The confrontation erupted, Victor's fist connecting with Ryan's jaw. A metallic tang blooming as Elias lunged, only to be restrained by security. Lydia's sobs pierced the chaos, my boys. Please, but Victor was unrelenting. Threats of disinheritance. Deportation papers already drawn. Elias was dragged toward the servants' quarters. His plea, Ryan. Don't twisting like a knife. Alone in the wreckage. Ryan tasted blood and resolve. The cage had bars now. Visible and ironclad. But fire licked at its edges. In the dead of night, Ryan slipped into the study. Victor's safe cracked by remembered combinations from childhood games. Documents. Cash enough to vanish. He found Elias in the basement laundry, packing a duffel with trembling hands. Come with me, Ryan urged, bruises blooming purple on his skin. Elias's eyes were storm's love warring with fear. And leave you ruined. No. But Ryan's kiss silenced doubt. Fierce and claiming. We're ruined apart. Dawn found them fleeing in Ryan's sleek Audi. Tires screeching down the winding drive. The estate shrinking in the rear view like a gilded tomb. New York swallowed them whole, a cramped Brooklyn walk-up. Elias's first gallery submission under a pseudonym. Ryan waitressing at a dive bar to pay bills. His trust fund severed like an umbilical cord. Days were gritty, Elias scrubbing canvases, while Ryan dodged Victor's lawyers, but nights were theirs. Bodies entwined in a bed that creaked like laughter. Love, stripped bare, revealed its bones, vulnerabilities aired in whispers. Dreams stitched together over cheap coffee. Ryan came out publicly on Instagram. A photo of their hands laced. Caption raw. This is my truth. Burn the cage. Retaliation came swift. Victor's media blitz painting Ryan as troubled. Elias as opportunist. Protests erupted outside the Harrington Tower. Rainbow flags waving like war banners. Lydia reached out in secret emails. Her words a bridge. I always knew you were more than his shadow. Elias's family, oceans away, sent a single voice note approval laced with ache. The trial for Elias's visa was a gauntlet. Testimonies laced with bigotry. But Ryan's testimony voice steady. Eyes locked on Elias during the tide. He's not my maid. He's my home. As winter thawed into spring, the verdict landed, asylum granted. On grounds of persecution. Victor, cornered by boardroom revolt investors fleeing the scandal, offered an olive branch, a quiet apology over lunch. Eyes averted. I was wrong. He muttered. The words a fracture in his armor. Ryan forgave. Not for absolution, but for the boy he'd been. Trapped in the same cage. On a rooftop in Soho. Under a sky bruised purple. Ryan and Elias exchanged ring simple bands etched with orchard leaves. We set the fire. Ryan said. voice thick, pulling Elias close, and rose from it. Elias's laugh was free. His sketchpad open to their future, lines of possibility. Unconfined. In the city that never sleeps. They built a life not golden, but true, where love wasn't a rebellion, but a quiet revolution. And in that, they found grace, two souls. Once caged, now wings unfurled, soaring toward a horizon painted with hope. The first months in Brooklyn were a baptism by grit. The kind that scours away illusions and leaves only the raw pulse of survival. Ryan woke to the clamor of fire escapes and distant sirens. A far cry from the estate's hush. But Elias's arm draped over him anchored the chaos. They pulled their scraps, Ryan's bar tips stained with beer foam. Elias's odd jobs at a frame shop smelling of varnish and promise into rent for a third-floor walk-up where paint peeled like old skin and the radiator hissed complaints. Yet in that shoebox space, with its single window framing the Brooklyn Bridge's glow, they carved sanctuary. Elias set up an easel by the fire escape. Charcoal dust snowing onto the floorboards as he captured the city's frenzy, graffiti-splashed alleys. Lovers tangled under street lamps. Ryan watched, mesmerized, as Elias's hands once bound to mop handles now danced with freedom, birthing art that bled emotion. "You're staring," Elias teased one evening, smudging graphite across his cheek like war paint. Ryan crossed the room in 2 strides, pulling him onto the sagging couch, their laughter dissolving into kisses that tasted of takeout, lo mein, and unspoken fears. "Can't help it. You're my masterpiece." But beneath the banter lurked shadows, nightmares where Victor's face loomed. Deportation vans screeching to a halt. Ryan's jaw still ached from that night. A purple bloom fading to yellow. But the real bruise was deeper, the severing of blood ties. Lydia's emails arrived sporadically, laced with regret. "Your father paces like a caged lion. I miss your light, my boy." Ryan read them aloud to Elias, voice cracking, and Elias would hold him, murmuring, "Light doesn't belong in cages." Ryan's bar gig at O'Malley's was a dive of sticky floors and regulars with eyes like bottomless wells. But it grounded him, slinging pints to grizzled vets and wide-eyed transplants. He learned the poetry of the ordinary, a drag queen's wink over cherry lipstick, a trans kid's quiet coming out over last call. It mirrored his own unraveling, piece by jagged piece. One shift, as rain lashed the windows. A patron leather jacket. Salt and pepper beard slid onto a stool and ordered whiskey neat. "Heard you're the Harrington runaway. Ball's a move, kid." Ryan froze, poorer midstream. But the Manx employee of Victor's, it turned out, clapped his shoulder. "Your old man's empire's cracking. Good riddance." It was validation, bitter as the spill on his apron, fueling Ryan's resolve to build something his own. Elias's days blurred at the frame shop, where sawdust clung to his lashes, and the owner, a wiry Italian named Gino, grumbled but saw talent. "Kid, you frame like you paint, Sal deep." Elias submitted his first piece to a local gallery called Orchard Ghosts, a canvas of shadowed figures embracing amid thorny branches. Ryan's profile ethereal in moonlight. Rejection stung, too raw for our crowd, but acceptance flickered in small ways. A customer's gasp at his window display. A stranger's tip doubled for the poetic eye. Nights, they'd debrief over stovetop ramen. Elias sketching Ryan's bar stories, a tipsy toast to lost loves. A brawl quelled with empathy turning pain into pigment. The city's underbelly tested them. A homophobic slur hurled from a passing truck one dawn. Elias's flinch pulling Ryan's fists tight. "Let it go?" Elias breathed. But Ryan seethed. The estate's privilege, a ghost whispering fight back. They channeled it into community, volunteering at a queer youth center in Bushwick, where teens with eyes like fractured mirrors shared stories that echoed Ryan's. One boy, Jamie, 16 and fresh from a Bible-thumping foster home, latched onto Ryan like a lifeline. "How do you know it was real?" Jamie asked, voice small. Ryan glanced at Elias. Across the room, leading an art workshop. Kids' hands flying over paper. "When it hurts this good. When it's worth the burn." Intimacy deepened in the quiet hours. Their bodies a language of recovery. Ryan traced Elias's scars, faded lines from border crossings. A jagged one from a childhood fall, and Elias kissed Ryan's knuckles. Swollen from that bar shift punch he swore was an accident. Sex was no longer stolen frenzy, but deliberate worship, slow explorations by candlelight. Elias's whispers and Spanish weaving spells. Ryan's gasps a litany of more. Always more. It healed fractures, binding them tighter than any vow. But Victor's shadow lengthened. A letter arrived. Crisp stationery slicing the mail slot. Cease the spectacle. Or lose everything. Attached were photos, paparazzi shots of their walk-up. Elias at the shop. Fear coiled in Ryan's gut. But anger flared brighter. He burned it in the sink. Flames dancing like defiance. Elias's hand steady on his back. "We fight smart," Elias said. "I steal." They lawyered up pro bono through the center. A fierce queer advocate named Marisol who wielded statutes like swords. "Your father's playbook is old money. Outdated hate. We've got the truth." As autumn leaves turned the streets to fire, Elias's gallery shot arrived, a group show in Chelsea. Orchard Ghosts accepted. The opening night was electric velvet ropes, clinking glasses, collectors murmuring over Elias's work. Ryan stood beside him in a thrift store blazer, pride swelling as a curator approached. "This captures the ache of becoming." "Who's the muse?" Elias's smile was secret, arm brushing Ryan's. "My everything." Sales followed a modest check that bought them a real bed. Groceries without rationing. But joy cracked when Victor appeared at the door unannounced. Rain-slicked and hollow-eyed. "I came to see for myself," he growled, scanning the space like an inspector. Ryan blocked the threshold. Heart pounding. "See what?" "That we're happy." Victor's gaze landed on the canvas, propped by the window. Ryan's face immortalized in vulnerability. Something shifty to flinch. Perhaps regret. "You're throwing it away." But Ryan saw the lie. Victor's empire was the throwaway. Built on suppression. "No. Dad. I'm claiming it." The door shut softly. Victor retreating into the storm. But the echo lingered, a bridge half-built. Winter gripped the city in iron. Snow blanketing stoops like shrouds. But their fire warmed deeper. Ryan landed a gig writing for a queer MAGA PDS on Legacy's weight. Love's rebellion, his words raw as Elias's strokes. Jamie's art bloomed under Elias's wing. A mural on the center wall, phoenixes rising from gilded bars. Holidays came makeshift, a tree strung with gallery stubs. Tamales from a street vendor. Lydia's package arriving, scarf. Book. Note, proud of your fire. Son. Tears fell over eggnog. Ryan's head on Elias's lap. The world outside howling, but inside. Peace. Yet tension simmered. Marisol's updates painted Victor's maneuvers, countersuits. Media smears labeling Elias gold digger. Protests swelled, activists picketing Harrington HQ. Chance of love is not legacy. Ryan spoke at a rally. Voice amplified over megaphones. They called him Maid. I call him Heart. Burn the labels. The crowd roared. Elias in the front row. Eyes shining like beacons. Spring unfurled, tentative. Cherry blossoms defiant against concrete. Elias's solo show loomed. Cage's Ablazius series tracing their arc, from shadowed embraces to open skies. Invites went out, including one to Victor. A gauntlet thrown. The night arrived. Gallery humming with bodies and buzz. Ryan paced in slacks borrowed from Gino. Nerves electric. What if he doesn't come? Elias cupped his face. Thumb tracing lip. He already lost. We're one. Victor did come. Slipping in late. Face gone under the spots. He lingered before ignition. Ryan and Elias mid-kiss amid flames-licking bars. Lydia flanked him. Hand on arm, a united front. Victor approached as the crowd thinned. Voice gruff. It's powerful. Pause. Then, I'm sorry. For the cage I built. Ryan's throat closed. Forgiveness a flood. Join us for once. Break free too. Hugs followed. Awkward but real. Victor's clap on Elias's back. Lydia's tears on Ryan's cheek. The visa hearing dawned bright. Marisol's arguments unassailable. Persecution documented. Love testified. Judge's gavel. Granted. Cheers erupted in the hall. Jamie hugging Elias. The center's kids waving signs. Summer sealed it, a rooftop wedding. Soho skyline witness. Rings exchanged under string lights. Vows wove pain and promise. I choose you. Every scar. Every dawn. Guests. Marisol toasting rebellion. Gino with bruschetta. Even Victor. Suit rumpled. Eyes wet. To new legacies. He raised glass. Voice steady. Years spun. Gallery for Elias. Nonprofit for Ryan. Youth cages shattered. Their home grew loft with garden view. Walls alive with art. Love aged like fine wine. Deeper. Quieter. But the fire. Eternal spark. In quiet moments. Ryan traced Elias's hand. Whispering. We burned it all. And bloomed. But blooming wasn't linear. Scars itched under new skin. The nonprofit. Haven Break. Launched from their kitchen table outreach for queer youth trapped in affluent shadows. Modeled on Ryan's cage. Grants trickled. Volunteers rallied. But bureaucracy bit. Permits denied. Donors whispering pullouts under Victor's old influence. Ryan poured nights into proposals. Eyes burning over laptop glow. Elias massaging shoulders knotted like ropes. Rest. Amor. The world's not won in one siege. Yet Ryan pushed. Haunted by Jamie's relapsia, Foster bounced back. Bruises hidden under hoodies. If not us. Who? He'd counter. Pulling Elias into bed. Their lovemaking a bomb of urgency and release. Elias's career ascended jaggedly. Cages ablaze, toward MoMA whispers. Berlin bids, but imposter whispers nipped heels. A scathing review in Art Forum. Sentimental agitprop. More therapy than transcendence. Elias crumpled it in the loft. Retreating to the fire escape. Cigarette smoke curling like doubts. Ryan found him there. City hum below. And knelt. Taking the menthol from lips. It's their cage talking. Yours is wide open. They made love against the railing. Slow and starlit. Elias's moans swallowed by night. Reaffirming, art as armor. Love as forge. Victor's thaw thawed unevenly. Boardroom oust loomed. He sought counsel from Ryan over steak at Peter Lugerer. Like vulnerability. How do you forgive? Victor asked. Knife pausing mid-cut. Ryan sipped Bordeaux. Tasting years. By seeing the man. Not the empire. Victor nodded. Hiring a therapist. News Lydia shared with glee. He's unpacking. Darling. Like you taught. Family dinners resumed. Tentative, Elias at table. Victor's questions probing, but kind. That mural. Son. It's got fire. Elias's blush was Ryan's quiet victory. External gales howled too. A tabloid ambush. Harrington heirs made scandal inside the sordid affair. Photos grainy. Lies lurid. Hate mail flooded havens in boxlers etched in venom. Ryan shielded Elias from the worst. But one night. A brick through the loft window shattered glass and illusion. Sirens wailed. Police dismissive kids. Probably, leaving Elias sweeping shards. Hands bleeding. Ryan bandaged them. Fury boiling. No more hiding. He went public fiercer, op-ed in the Times. From gilded prison to glass houses. Exposing privilege's underbelly. Backlash surged death threats. Donor exodus but allies rose, celebrities retweeting. Foundations doubling down. Intimacy evolved. Layers peeled to core. They explored boundaries Elias's kink for light restraint. Silk ties evoking chains turned tender. Ryan's for whispered affirmations. Elias's voice a litany over skin. Vacations stitched normalcy, a road trip upstate. Adirondacks lakes mirroring skies. Tense sex under pines. Laughter echoing like bells. This is us. Ryan breathed. Elias's head on chest. Heartbeat drum. Jamie's crisis peaked, runaway at 17. Couch surfing in the village. Haven intervened emergency housing. Therapy slots. Ryan mentored. Sharing ledgers of loss. Elias taught drawing. Jamie's phoenix evolving to dragon fierce. Unchained. Successes mounted, kids housed. Families mended. One gala. Haven's first. Victor keynote. I built walls. My son tore them down. Applause thundered. Ryan's eyes on Elias across the room. Love a steady flame. Elias's breakthrough. Residency in L.A. 6 months painting sun-soaked rebellion. Separation loomed. A test. Ryan drove him to JFK. Tears blurring taillights. 6 months is a breath. Elias vowed. Kiss lingering. Letters flew digital and ink Ryan's prose poetic. Elias's sketches arriving rolled. Their loft wall a timeline of longing. Ryan threw into Haven. Expanding to Connecticut estates like his old. Now portals out. Victor volunteered. Awkward with teens, but earnest. His stories of Steeltown youth bridging gaps. Reunion at LAX was cinematic, Elias emerging. Portfolio bursting. Ryan engulfing him in a rival's chaos. Hotel night blurred champagne. Bodies frantic. Then soft. Missed your chaos. Elias murmured. Back home. Elias's show sold out exile's ember. Canvases of distances ache. Critics recanted. Museums called. Challenges crested. Victor's heart attack. Mid-negotiation. Ryan flew to Greenwich. Hospital sterile as regret. Victor rasped. Tubes snaking. Proud. Of you both. He recovered. Slower. Leaning on Lydia's care. Their marriage reborn tentative. Ryan mediated. Elias's hand in his talisman. Anniversary marked 5 years. Vow renewal in the orchard reclaimed. Victor's gift. Guests swelled Jamie's family now his. Marisol officiating. Rings refitted. Promises deepened. Through fires yet. Dance under stars. Elias's lead sure. Ryan's surrender sweet. Legacy bloomed. Haven chapters nationwide. Elias's foundation for immigrant artists. Their child adopted. A brown-eyed boy named Luca from border foster arrived giggling. Tiny hands in theirs. Fatherhood refracted love. Bedtime stories of cages burned. Lullabies of flight. In twilight years. Gray threading hair. They'd sit loft balcony. City eternal below. Worth the blaze? Ryan asked. Elias's head on shoulder. Every spark. Love. Once firestorm. Now hearthwarm. Enduring. Human. Enduring didn't mean unchallenged. Life's embers flared unpredictable. Luca's arrival upended Rhythm's diapers daisy chaining with deadlines. Elias's studio commandeered for playpens. Ryan's op-eds drafted one-handed while bouncing a colicky bundle. Sleepless nights forged deeper bonds. Elias humming rancheras to soothe cries. Ryan's stories of Phoenix daddies warding monsters. Luca's first word pa, twin for both. A bridge across bloodlines. Victor doted. Grandfather awkward with blocks, but beaming at milestones. His own regrets alchemized to presence. Haven scaled. But growth birthed beasts, board squabbles over direction. A whistleblower alleging fund mismanagement slander from a disgruntled ex. Ryan testified in hearings. Voice steady under fluorescent glare. Elias's sketches submitted as evidence of impact, murals and shelters. Kids' faces fierce with hope. Cleared. But toll lingered. Ryan's anxiety spiking. Panic attacks clawing chest like old cage bars. Therapy unpacked it, sessions with Marisol's referral. A soft-spoken shrink named Theo who drew parallels to Victor's steel. "You're not your father," Theo affirmed. Elias attended couples sits. Their hands laced. Dissecting fears. "We're the safe now," Elias reminded. Post-session walks in Prospect Park. Leaves crunching underfoot. Elias's fame crested waves. TED Talk on art as Exodus. From Maid's mop to Master's brush. Views viral. Backlash bitch rolls decrying woke wash. A gallery pullout citing politics. Elias weathered. Channeling to border flames. Exhibit touring Southwest. Proceeds to migrant aid. Ryan joined a leg. Dust devils swirling Arizona trails. Stories from asylum seekers echoing Elias's youth. One night. Campfire circle. A woman shared her crossing scar mirroring Elias sand. He sketched her live. Tears salting paper. Ryan held him after. In motel hush, your gift heals. Victor's redemption arc twisted, memoir ghosted. Steel heart, a father's reckoning. Chapters on Ryan's awakening as catalyst. Launch packed. Apologies layered genuine. But relapse loomed board coup. Victor ousted. Empire fracturing. He called Ryan. Voice cracked, lost it all. Like you warned. Ryan flew in. Not a savior. But son, build small. Like we did. Victor started over-consulting for green startups. Mentoring Haven dads. Lydia thrived. Her garden club pivoting to queer ally workshops. Her laugh freer. Personal tempests brewed. Luca's questions at 4-inch Y2 dads. Met with books and honesty. Park picnics drawing stares softened by time. School enrollment sparked fight private academy waitlist. Public underfunded. Ryan advocated. PDAs bending to his name. But Elias pushed public, roots in real. Compromise, charter with art focus. Luca thriving. Crayons flying like Elias's youth. Anniversaries layered, 10 years. Vow under bridge lights. Luca flower boy tumbling petals. Intimacy, shiftless frenzy. More savor, mornings slow. Coffee cooling as hands roam. Elias's gray-streaked hair silver in dawn. They traveled Mexico. Elias's village rebuilt. Family embrace warm as remembered son. Abuela's tamales. Cousins' toasts, you brought him home. Crisis crested at 15 for Luca, coming out letter. By and terrified. Peer taunts echoing old slurs. Ryan's heart clenched cycles ghost but they rallied. Family meeting. Victor sharing his blind spots. Lydia's hugs fierce. Elias drew with himself portrait unarmored. Haven resources deployed, peer groups. Counselors. Luca emerged stronger. Prom date a non-binary sweetheart. Ryan and Elias chaperoning. Tears proud. Haven's pinnacle, national award. White House nod Ryan speechifying. Elias beside. Luca beaming row 1. From one boy's fire. A movement. Post-gala. Loft party, Jamie. Now artist in residence. Toasting origins. Victor's end came gentle, 82. Heart giving after hike with Luca. Bedside. Hand in Ryan's, best cage I broke. Funeral mixed suits and rainbows eulogy Ryan's. He learned to fly late. But he soared. Grief wove in. But life propelled, Elias retrospective. MoMA halls echoing their orchard. Luca off to RISD. Majoring dual art. Advocacy. Empty nest echoed. But they filled, volunteering abroad. Thailand beaches where love was just love. Twilight found them traveling, Amalfi cliffs. Hands wrinkled laced. Eternal blaze. Ryan quipped. Elias's kiss answer. Legacy, not gold. But glow cages kindled to constellations. Love's fire undimmed. Constellations shifted as years layered dust on canvases once fever bright. The loft. Once cramped with ambition. Now breathed wide Luca's room, a guest haven for his visits. Walls papered in his designs, fluid lines blending heritage flags. Ryan and Elias. Silvered at 50. Moved deliberate, morning yoga on the balcony. Elias's poses graceful as ever. Ryan's creaky but earnest. Haven evolved under Luca's board seat, digital arms reaching global. VR simulations of cage breaks for trapped youth. Ryan stepped back, CEO. Consulting shadows. Time freed for writing. Memoir golden ashes. Pages pouring confessions once caged. Elias's body betrayed first arthritis gnawing fingers that once flew free. Brushes grew heavy. But he adapted, digital tablets. Voice-guided software. Exhibits hybrid. A stroke at 62 felled him, brief hospital sterile. Ryan's vigil endless. Luca flying in mid-semester. Recovery was slog, physio grueling. Elias's frustration flaring, can't even hold you proper. Ryan's retort soft, you hold my soul. They laughed through tears. Therapy rekindled. Rediscovering touch, massages turning tender. Reaffirming bodies as maps still memorized. Lydia's passing mid-60s was quieter, cancer swift. Garden wilting with her. Estate sold. Proceeds seeded Haven endowment, Lydia's light. Her letters surfaced. Bundled, to Ryan. Unsent missives of pride. To Elias, apologies for silences. They scattered ashes in the orchard. Now public park roses blooming defiant. Luca's life bloomed parallel, partner Alex. Non-binary sculptor. Wedding under Brooklyn arches, Ryan walking him. Elias officiating art vows. Grandkids arrived, Sophia. Fiery toddler sketching walls. Mateo. Quiet observer with Elias's eyes. Playdates filled loft, chaos of crayons. Ryan's stories captivating. Elias's lapped the throne. External echoes persisted, political tides turning hostile. Funding cuts slashing Haven branches. Ryan lobbied DC. Voice hoarse in hearings. These kids aren't statistics, they're futures. Elias joined panels. Art as witness murals in crisis centers. Colors screaming resilience. A bomb threat evacuated a chapter. They held each other in aftermath. Luca's call frantic. Safe. Personal joys punctuated. 50th anniversary. Vow on Italian coast Amalfi sunset. Rings renewed. Guests virtual from afar. Intimacy now ritual. Evenings bare under sheets. Conversations deep as ocean's regrets aired. Dreams dusted off. Still burn for you. Elias whispered. Ryan's yes a vow. Philanthropy peaked. Elias's foundation merged with Haven. Ember Alliance therapy hybrid. Global reach. Tour to Elias's village, school built. Kids painting borders blurred. Abuela's grave visited. Stories shared, Luca translating. Chain complete. Health's thief struck Ryan next. Diagnosis prostate. Treatable, but sobering. Elias's care, fierce meals pureed gentle. Walks arm in arm. Remission brought clarity, travels curtailed. But home deepened, fire escaped sunsets. Hands tracing familiar paths. Luca's family grew. Sophia's queer awakening at 12. Guided with grace books from Ryan. Sketches from Elias. Mateo confided crushes. Safe in legacy's glow. Victor's shadow faded benevolent. Scholarships in his name. Ex-employees crediting his late pivot. A documentary cage fire streamed. Their story raw Oscar nod. Tears at screening. 70 dawned reflective. Memoir sequel Embers Eternal. Ryan's pen faltering, but true. Elias's last major show, Lifeless Portraits of Loves, Ryan Central. Luca branching. Grandkids buds. Critics wept. Testament to endurance. Final years nested. Assisted living loft adjacent. Nurse's friends. Luca's visits ritual. Stories looping orchard firsts. Brooklyn grits. One eve. Stars pricking. Elias faltered, ready for next blaze. Ryan's hold tight, together. Elias slipped first. Peaceful heart, quiet mid-sketch. Ryan's name on lips. Grief tsunami, Haven Memorial mural. Global tributes. Ryan endured. Luca anchor. Grandkids hugs lifelines. Writing poured, elegy your flame. Bestseller healing.